Hello, we're recording. Hello. You're listening to the Gamer Librarian Podcast, the best podcast you can find on this side of the multiverse. I'm your host, Adrian, and today I will be talking about Sony's recent state of play, the Mashle manga, and more. Afterwards, be sure to subscribe to be notified when future episodes are released and show your support by liking and leaving a comment. Thank you for joining. Today is another great Monday. This episode is going to be uploaded a little later than usual. We don't usually record this late. We had some audio issues. Hopefully, it comes through okay. We have no microphone. I'm using a gaming headset right now, and it's okay. We're seeing what's happening now. This weekend didn't get a whole lot of time to play games and experience specifically the Elden Ring Night Rain network test. We celebrated my girlfriend's birthday and got K-pop, which was very nice. So hopefully she had a good time, of course. And it was pretty fun. Now we have some news before we get into the games that I've been playing because we took a divergence from what we were playing earlier, which was Kingdom Come Deliverance, and there's just things that been really interesting that came out, and that's specifically that the Magic the Gathering creators, the Wizards of the Coast, have collaborated with Final Fantasy, creators of them, Square Enix, bring Final Fantasy themed cards to Magic the Gathering. Now, this isn't new for Magic the Gathering doing crossovers, specifically with video games as well. Assassin's Creed and Fallout have been featured there, and they have been enticing to me. But I am full send now on the Final Fantasy series because that's just so cool. And they're not even only featuring four of the games. The current pack that they're doing is only four of the mainline games. They're doing 6, 7, 10, and 14, which is 6 is more like the retro style, like they're making homage to like the 18 or I guess 64-bit kind of versions of them and being true to their art style, which I actually think is pretty cool. I think it's decent that they're doing a more artistic, you know, authentic approach to the game, which is nice. And then they're gonna have like the more fancy artwork for obviously 7 and 10, which is gonna be sick, and obviously 14 is their MMO. It's gonna be so cool to see some of those cards as well. So I'm full send. I want Waka. I want Waka from Final Fantasy X, and I want to build a whole deck around Waka specifically. I'm gonna try and get the collector's edition, which apparently I think comes with all of them. There's an IGN article where they talk about making the sets and like choosing, the four that they chose. Obviously, like the big most popular ones, I believe, and trying to be like making the games feel like the cards, which apparently they're making a party system or making characters, I guess, play in like kind of a party setting. It's for Commander. I haven't played Magic the Gathering in a very long time, but this setting got me full force back into it. I'm so down to play this. It's going to be so fun. I have a wait list or newsletter for like the release. The release date is June 13th, and I imagine maybe sometime in March and April they're gonna have like the pre-orders. I'm gonna try my best to get a collector's edition. It's gonna be so cool to check out those cards. I really missed the Fallout series, at least the launch. I'm gonna try to maybe get some of those cards maybe in between then, and we can do some unboxings of them once they come out because I'm so excited. This is the kind of crossover stuff that I'm super down for. I know that they're doing the Marvel Magic the Gathering stuff coming up soon. I think in fall or winter, bro. I'm so in. I'm so in to just take whatever Magic cards I already have and just add them to decks around the video games. That's so cool. And I know that they have trading card games of like Final Fantasy and other media out there. That's awesome. I saw Hunter x Hunter has trading cards, which is really sick. So I'm super into all of these kind of trading cards. But Magic the Gathering, I think, has a different kind of play style, which is pretty cool. I like the element 5 color land system, which is pretty nice. The land being their energy, it's pretty cool. Magic the Gathering is a pretty awesome trading card game, and they have some pretty sick video games, which you guys can check out. They're usually free to play, it's like the phone, or you can just buy them. And I think that they offer a really nice, way to still play Magic the Gathering without having to devote to the physical cards. I like the physical cards. I don't necessarily like playing with most Magic the Gathering people. I just, this is my opinion, but Magic the Gathering is still pretty dope. So I think it's pretty cool. And maybe we got some Chocobo cards or some awesome land cards. It's gonna be so cool to see that. I'm so excited. I really am. So we're going to be covering that and its entire launch over this podcast. It's going to be really, really cool to see this. Maybe we'll get back into Final Fantasy 14 sometime just to, coincide with this because I really got to get back into Dawn Trail. I really, really do. And, there's some other news. I did have an article about data miners for Mortal Kombat talking about like suicidalities or whatever. It's pretty small. I'm not really super keen on to following Mortal Kombat, specifically now. Ghostface was cool and all, but now it's just, not really important. And then there was a pretty cool mods that's going out for Civ 7. That's really just about it. I'm kind of think Civ 7 is in the past. I was really hoping that they would, have a little more in terms of like the modes. And then honestly, it's just a different style with the ages and choosing the people. It's just not really that interesting anymore. So that's just pretty sad. So Sony had their state of play for this spring, winter, I guess. I imagine they're gonna have one in spring. It's kind we really can't tell with them, but they showed off some actually really cool and interesting games. To start, Sorrow's House Marquee's next game, they made Returnal. That seems really cool. They even got a pretty great, actor to, you know, yeah, I guess be the face for the main character. I can't really tell if he's actually going to be doing the main character. It's hard to tell. Maybe he is. I think so. And they also showed off Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Now, I've been a big sleeper on Metal Gear. I've played Revengeance earlier in the podcast, which was really, really fun. My friends told me to, play that one, and it was really exciting because I've only seen most of these games. I've only ever played like a few of them on the PS2, and I rented them at Blockbuster, so I really never had full experience with them. And seeing it on the state of play was really awesome. Seeing all the new stuff in the cinematics, it looks like a really pretty game. But I I'm only going full force into the Metal Gear Solid franchise for one reason now, for one singular reason, and that's because Ape Escape has returned. They put Ape Escape, they referenced Ape Escape, they remembered Ape Escape. Now maybe I heard about it from friends earlier in my life that it was like a crossover. Maybe I saw it in videos in the games, I just never really remembered it. But it's in they apparently it's like a PS2 mini game in one of the older Metal Gear games, Metal Gear Solid 3. And man, seeing that made me so happy. Seeing that was so awesome. Seeing the return of Ape Escape, one of my favorite PS2 platformers. And that's what really sparked me to start the franchise over from the beginning. We're going to try and play all of the Metal Gear Solid games between now and whenever that game comes out, and I can play Metal Gear Solid with the Ape Escape version. Now, I might try and play a version of the PS2 that has the original Ape Escape minigame in it. I'm gonna try and do that when I get around to playing that. I got the collector's edition of the, Volume 1, which is like the first half of the Metal Gear franchise, everything before, I guess, Metal Gear Solid 4 or something. And I'm gonna try my best to play all the games. Now, I did start the first two. The first game, I will admit, I did a glitch through the tank and I got past the second tank, and then I did like, a whole chapter's worth of content just around there. And then I can't get past the tank now because I can't kill it from where I am. Because when I touch it, I spawn and die, and I don't have any rations. So I don't know where I'm going to go with that now. I do know the basic ending of that one, and that's pretty dope. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of that game. But I did start Metal Gear 2 Snake Eater, or Solid Snake, right? It's Solid Snake, and I did start that, and I'm liking this one a lot more. I'm liking the crouching or the crawling aspect of it, which is really cool. And it's just, plays very much like the first game. I got to the helicopter, killed it, which was pretty fun. And we're still pretty early on in that game, I believe. So I'm going to try and, play through that game as quick as possible and get to these, I guess, the Solid series, which is the more defined PS PlayStation versions of these games, I believe. So, those are the fan favorite ones, and those are the ones that I have a vague reference of, my friends telling me and seeing videos on. And I never really seen anything for the MGX versions of Metal Gear, which is, still pretty fun. There's a whole lot of history behind these first two versions of Metal Gear. And I don't know if I'm going to play all of the spin-offs, but we're definitely going to do the versions that come in the volume content and then maybe branch off, depending on what, because I don't think the Ape Escape version is in this volume with Metal Gear Solid 3, and that makes me upset. So maybe we'll do the original version that has the Ape Escape version between now and the other content, but I'm not really sure. It might be worth it just to get the original, just to play it again and not have to do the hassle of like emulating or something. But I'm sure I could maybe borrow a physical copy from a friend who already has it, or go down to the local game store and buy it. Because I know I've seen it and dust off the PS2. Very unsure what I could do. I could do a lot, but I want to play the version with Ape Escape. I do want to do that. And if we finish Metal Gear before or even after the Metal Gear Solid Delta comes out, we will be doing the Ape Escape series. We will be doing that. I will be fully playing that series. Like I'll try to do all spin-offs, everything, just for my sake. I just think that'd be really fun to do again. I didn't play it. I played the first game when it was on PSN. I think it still is, but I played the first game maybe a year or two ago, and that was so fun. I love that game so much. And now I get to do the first two, and then maybe the spin-offs. It was gonna be really fun. It's like a PSP game. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to really just get through the Metal Gear Solid series franchise for the first time. I only really played with Vengeance, first, and then we did these first two games. So now we're gonna try and do what we can with, all the word versions and the Master Collection at the very least. That's what we're gonna try and do. Um, Borderlands 4. I'm excited for it. I not gonna really take that the movie affects this game a lot. It seems like it's not. Maybe there might be like some small reference to it, maybe something like that. But it seems like this game is trying to keep the same kind of tone and wackiness and even the style, the gameplay, which is pretty nice. Until I play it, I can't really say. I still liked Borderlands 3, but it's definitely not really like the same kind of adventure, and it doesn't really feel like it's an innovative Borderlands experience. I still believe that Borderlands should be an MMO. I still think that like they should start building on the Vault Hunter class system and then just make it an MMO, and you just be a Vault Hunter, get guns, all that kind of stuff. That's the best version I could think of, that could offer the most longevity to the franchise. Plan it for like 10 years, make it like have like a 10-year kind of lifespan and that kind of content. Not an expansion every year, maybe an expansion like every 4 years, smaller content. Maybe you follow what the other players, not players, what the other MMO providers do with their seasonal content. But it's just like I always wanted a Borderlands MMO. I always thought that was like going to be the future of it. I don't like that it always limits just the four characters and those skill trees and all that stuff. I think it should be like as open as possible. And the story here, it doesn't matter. No one cares. Let's just make an overall Borderlands experience. Try to get as many players in for the franchise as long as possible. Let's stop making specifically only kind of single player, somewhat co-op-y aspects of it. And like, the story doesn't have to be the real thing in the game. People could, make it more social thing. People can make it, as like a role player, just like a somewhat single player and then multiplayer experience, just like we've always done. I was always thought it should have been an MMO, you know. Onimusha seems pretty cool. A lot of samurai stuff going on, Assassin's Creed Shadows and the new Ghost of Tsushima stuff. Samurais are awesome. We might check out Onimusha, maybe the original game at some point, but that's really just like not really in the foresight right now. Now, Tides of Annihilation, though. Tides of Annihilation looks fun, looks very fun, seems very promising as a single player game. And Days Gone getting a remastered. So there's a meme, the meme with the swimmer picking up a kid, and there's like another kid drowning, and then like there's a skeleton under the water of this with another Sony franchise game, which is pretty funny that it wasn't mentioned or anything to 10 years of its anniversary. That's nothing. I feel like they're really going to do it at a good time. I can't really say that it's maybe ready now, but it is funny that this game and maybe some of their other games are getting remastered and attention stuff rather than this. And that's even over like not even mentioning their other properties that are before the one I'm not trying to mention specifically because we all know what it is. And you can't really blame them for maybe not showing it or having anything ready if they don't have anything ready, right? But then again, I feel like there isn't as much a celebration of these franchises that are kind of part of, not I wouldn't say the company's history, whether or not they do good or bad, but even just like gaming culture in general. There's definitely a weird divide between what games are seen as in company favor as being the ones they want to show off or even be the ones known for or people like remind people of them being in there. I just think it's very odd. Now I loved Days Gone when it came out. Super fun game, had a lot of cool ideas. I think that maybe having a city setting specifically, like a much more open kind of city, would have been a little better rather than like this woodland backdrop kind of stuff. It wasn't too bad, but this new version might have a horde assault mode. I say might, we haven't seen it yet, but it's going to be really cool. Apparently, it's coming out really soon, April 25th. That's going to be pretty awesome. And yeah, there's, some PlayStation Plus catalog stuff, and then some game called Mind's Eye, which I don't really specifically remember now that we're talking about it. Warriors Abyss is like a roguelike coming on the PS5 at some point. Actually, it was out the day that they did it. So I am gonna play that game at some point, but we got other games to do. I'm down for roguelites. I'm in for roguelites. I don't really care about the other Warriors series experience, but a roguelite seems fun and Sonic Racing coming back. Now it's not Sonic Riders, so who really cares? Let's just move on from there. Stellar Blade getting a Nikki crossover, which is fine. Lies of P DLC. It's a prequel DLC. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I like Lies of P. We're gonna play it. I only played it on Game Pass on the Xbox, so maybe we'll just hop back on there play the DLC and maybe at some point, or I'm sure Lies of P will have like a version with the DLC. We just buy it for like cheap. I'm not really sure. WWE game, another like samurai game, something called Medal of Eden. I don't remember this. Lost Souls does seem pretty fun. Monster Hunter stuff, of course. People talking about Monster Hunter. I will be getting that game. It's going to be pretty fun playing that with friends, so we're going to try our best to really get into that game. And then Split Friction seems fun. Supermassive does something with like Directive 8020. You know, I don't even remember. Oh, I'm sorry. David Diver getting DLC. Sorry, we will be sidetracking into that game, of course. I can't forget about that game. Yakuza obviously is getting stuff. And a Digimon game. Final Fantasy Freddy still getting content, which is crazy. That game did not look good. That Final Fantasy Freddy game did not look good. I'm I'm sorry, but your franchise is pretty massive. Your game should not be looking like that for the kind of notoriety and money you certainly have. I mean, you already had a movie. Let's not pretend. So stop making your games really fucking shitty. That's I'm offended by how that game looks and the kind of money that game and franchise has literally made. So that's just my opinion. Um, that's it for the state of play. So let's talk about the Elden Ring Night Ring network test. Now I only really got time to try out two of the characters, the standard like Knight dude, Warden, Wyden, or whatever his name is, and then the bird dude, right? So I only got a chance to try out those guys and play, three matches. I only got to play from like the Friday and the Saturday test, and I gotta say, that was a smooth ride, except for the first network test, right? At least on Sony PlayStation 5. I didn't get a chance to play that at all, other than like doing the test ground and stuff, which is actually pretty cool. Now, that experience was really great. The test itself, I think, was really smooth. I don't think you could tell what console everyone else was playing. I don't think there's maybe um, crossplay interactivity. I'm very unsure at this point. They probably won't tell us until much later, closer to launch. But I'm very happy with how that worked out with that kind of system. Maybe they'll have a more defined matchmaking system later on and fix some kind of stuff. But man, that was really smooth. And the experience I think is pretty cool. I would say maybe the rings can close a little slower. It definitely doesn't feel like they can It doesn't feel like they could be stopped in terms of like their speed. Or maybe there is like a mechanic. I don't really like looking up this kind of stuff until I really get deeper into the game. But it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of time, especially towards the end of the days. But overall, I think it's a pretty cool experience. I think once people get more experience with it, obviously they can go off on their own early on, and then maybe obviously people work coordinated with bosses and team up with them. I mean, obviously, it was just a fun experience. They wouldn't allow the game to be recorded, at least on the PS5 broadcast systems. Like I couldn't use Twitch and then use that VOD, which was actually very annoying. So obviously I couldn't do that, which is sad. I couldn't get footage just to show off some of the gameplay and stuff, which would have been nice. They only allowed the four classes. We're gonna have eight at launch, which is gonna be pretty cool, and obviously DLC stuff. So this is the type of game that really could be content driven later on, and I would actually really see this game being the placate like platform for future Souls content within the next like 10 years, right? I maybe would see no more Souls style games for a while because I think that this is a multiplayer game. This is their more defined Souls multiplayer experience. They already announced that it really is going to have DLC, and it just really just feels like this game could be the content like cycle for Soul style FromSoft games in the future, and they could branch off to other Armor Core games, which would be so sick. Maybe a more centered multiplayer Armor Core experience, or even a much better single player experience for a broader audience, which actually be pretty fun. I think the gameplay experience is actually pretty great on the Armor Core. Rubicon 6, I think it is. Yeah, whatever the most recent one's name is really awesome. And I think the controls are they're definitely something to get used to. You got to definitely learn, especially the weapons and how they work against the combat. You have to take time and learn, just like most of the hard games. But I think it's very rewarding in that way. So I'm very down for whatever kind of games they're going to do in the future, which is going to be super, super awesome. And and yeah, we've been talking about the games we were playing, and I already did Metal Gear stuff. So yeah, we've been doing Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and the controls are definitely something that are a little finicky, especially like the PS2 version, like the cycling with the menus or all that stuff. And I'm still having a good time. I'm definitely excited to see the experience on the PS2 controllers earlier, like whatever the more modern Metal Gear games are, because Revengeance is very different from what these original games are, of course. And that's all I really have to say. I wouldn't really play these games again, especially for how long they are, like how specifically long they are. They're definitely aids with their dated like limitations, right? Which isn't a bad thing, but it's definitely like one of those games where it's like now that I've played an experience, I wouldn't do it again, but it's very nice to have done it, of course. And that's really just it for games. We're not really going to do any more Kingdom Come Deliverance for a while. We're not going to get the sequel game. We're probably just going to get uh, Monster Hunter Rise, and then that's pretty much it. Monster Hunter Rise will probably be the multiplayer game that I play for a while in between Metal Gear, which would be really nice. And so we also have the release of Absolute Batman #5. So that was a really, really fun read. It ends on a really cool cliffhanger. I'm just gonna really say it ends on Batman losing an early fight, obviously in this series, which is pretty cool as a cliffhanger for a manga. He does lose the fight, and the kind of undertones for what the Black Mask S crew is talking about is pretty dope. It's like the criminal organizations or like the people here really don't control Gotham. It's like these shadow things, right? Obviously, which is kind of cool. And Batman losing his weapons, like right, he lost his weapons. It's just kind of cool to see different stuff in this early stuff of Batman, and I'm excited to see the ramifications of it. We saw some early, more like implications of what happened at the zoo. That's part of his backstory, which is pretty awesome. Um, I'm just really loving this series of Batman. That the Absolute series in general is pretty awesome to cover, and speaking of Batman, we also watched the Joker 2 sequel, Folie, and man, the music was not there. I'm not gonna say the songs were bad. I'm not gonna like say that. I don't think the songs were bad, but I don't think the songs were all that fun. As like somebody who really thinks that the songs should be really enjoyable, and I feel like they kind of borderline too much on that longing and romantic kind of esque for Joker. I don't know if they're really playing into a sequel, like a third movie. I don't really like how they did it, period, to be honest. It's the ending wasn't very good. And like the movie itself is a decent experience. I think maybe they're talking more about like um, Harley Quinn being like a bad influence on Joker to this degree. That's what I think. I think she's a bad influence on the Joker in this movie. I think that's what they're kind of trying to say. And then we get like the way that they end it with their like take on the experience. Like she feels like more like the Joker in the experience of this version, which isn't a bad twist, but I don't know. I was just kind of feeling like I would come out of this movie feeling uh not as sorry for Joker, like not more sorry for Joker. I was kind of feel like, oh, okay, now we're getting really good Joker. Now I just feel more sorry for Joker. I just feel like now he's just back at the beginning. He's here, and I don't know. Maybe they're making him out to be more of a hero now that he's kind of like misunderstood or something. I really don't know. But all I got to say is that I was more looking forward to the music part of the Joker musical, because I think getting Lady Gaga here for the experience should have been pretty fun. And I feel like they didn't really have that kind of oomph. They didn't really have that kind of like pizzazz. I really liked if this version of the Joker movies aren't going to be part of whatever new Batman stuff or any new Legacy stuff, I don't know why they didn't really just have it really be a fun little like Breakfast Club kind of romp where like obviously I don't think the romance part with Harley Quinn and the Joker, with Harley Quinn kind of being the villain in that kind of versions of them. I think that's perfectly fine to have, but I kind of would have liked this to have been more like these two characters are in Arkham Asylum, and then we have characters like I don't really care who, but like Mister Freeze, Croc or Penguin or any like Calendar Man, any kind of characters from Arkham, and we get all kinds of different songs featuring them or different kinds of things. And I think the only character that was even referenced in it is Harvey Dent. As far as I was even paying attention to, it was just Harvey Dent. I don't hate it, but I really feel like that experience was just it wasn't really as fun as it could have been, especially with the songs and all that kind of experience. I don't know, it was really not there. I do think it's time to talk about our sponsor, Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like other energy drinks. We also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Dubby is an energy drink powder that is produced in FDA registered and inspected facilities in the United States. If you use the coupon code down below, you can get 10% off your order. The coupon code is Game Librarian, and that's if you use it at the link below. We're supposed to be getting a new Dragon Ball Super chapter this month, apparently, and maybe it's the 20th, sometime at the end of February, and I'm so excited. And then we even had Dragon Ball Daima. Now, I did see the spoiler for the Dragon Ball Daima episode. I didn't watch it yet. I completely blanked on it just this weekend, and I'm gonna watch it at some point, but with the spoiler, obviously that's awesome. But I could tell where the show was going. It doesn't really shock me, other than like the really cool shock value. I'm gonna watch it at some point now, but that's really cool having that transformation back, which is really dope. And I'm just more excited for Dragon Ball Super to be honest to return. That just seems really more cool because Black Frieza, I'm all for it, all for it. And we were blessed with a new chapter of Berserk, chapter 379. And the capital is still under attack, but the Shadow Assassin dude has made contact with Guts. Guts is gonna start fighting again or something. He's gonna be do something. Man, it's pretty dope. I don't know why the little dude didn't recognize the goblins. I feel like they fought goblins before. That was a very weird scene. Maybe the translation was messed up. The version that I read online, I'm not really sure. But it is still cool to have a new Berserk chapter, which is pretty awesome. And then I read Vinland Saga 217, so I'm not really sure on the release schedule. 217 feels right as, modern as I can remember. It's only on the site that I had. I didn't really take any look into it, but it seems pretty cool. They're doing like this truce, trying to at least, and we're gonna see where it goes. Who knows? I don't know where this manga's going, but I'm all for it. We had more Zatspell. We're on chapter 29, and the little bunny dude that I didn't like before is now reunited with the like Zatspell and Toyotaro. Oh, it's so cool. Um, yeah, it's just pretty cool to see the Zatch manga having the sequel like this. I'm trying to catch up on these mangas as best as I can, and the last one I want to talk about because I think it's probably the last manga for the foreseeable future on the podcast. That's not like ongoing anymore or done. I don't know if there's any more manga I want to read. I'm not really keen on it. There's something else I've been trying to read, and that's Dante's Inferno. I've been trying to reach out to an RPG producer that makes a similar styled series and see if they want to do something, but they haven't, returned any of my messages, which is sad. And that's not, obviously not any big deal, but I could now make more time for the Dante's Inferno game, which I don't know if it's going to happen with the Metal Gear series now that we're doing that. So maybe we'll just stick to the Dante's Inferno book itself, and just see where it goes. See what happens with the books. I've never read it before, and I only heard good things. And they made a video game about it. Now they have the video game on Game Pass, but I didn't really finish it. It wasn't really the style. I think I might have started it sometime right before the Dragon Age playthrough kind of started and then crumbled with the Moz system just not being the system because I didn't want to pay for the game again. I did not, but it was like $1 on Steam, so it wasn't really that bad. But I didn't want to get the Xbox original hooked up or the Xbox One. It was just more annoying that way. So I was like, why did they just make a remaster? I'm not going to get on a rant about BioWare again, but man, so the last manga that I think is going to be mentioned here on the podcast is going to be Mashle, and Mashle was so fun as just a silly little adventure fighting manga with magic, right? That's all I gotta say. It's just Harry Potter with fists. That's kind of just it. Um, that's it. Just muscle bound Harry Potter, and I love the characters, right? I think Dot is really cool. Rain is awesome. Finn is a nice character. Reading this manga, I even ate a cream puff. I just saw it in like the store and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this cream puff. It wasn't a crispy one, but it was still good. It was like orange cream filled, and I'm be excited to watch the anime to see these fights because I think this is a really lighthearted manga. It was actually very enjoyable. Now the character, I will say, he's one of those characters that don't struggle, right? He's just strong, and he somewhat loses technically, but there's no ramifications if he really loses. I like that's not really a spoiler. I just really want to say that that's like a style that's as somebody who likes shonen type manga, this one feels more lighthearted than something like My Hero, right? In that same kind of vein. That's what I can kind of compare it to the ones that I read recently, and that I don't want to say that as like a negative thing for this story specifically. It's just Mash is more like the One Punch Man kind of main character, and that's not necessarily my style. But he's not really like that. He does struggle through the fights, especially later on. But early, early Mash, he's just kind of a brick wall to the cast, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not my kind of style. I kind of feel like if they really made him struggle, because I was really hoping that he would like start popping up potions more often, but he does like protein shakes, which isn't the thing. I maybe feel like the fish could have been cool if he also implied like doing magic things, like maybe using like fire dragon scale gloves for like his fists, or drinking like potions for like extra strength or something like that. There were really a whole lot of moments like that. And the side characters, though, they get some really awesome moments in fights. So that's like a really super duper plus for me. That was far more enjoyable than most of Mash's fights, in my full honesty. So that was actually pretty exciting. And yeah, besides the might be the last full complete manga reread for a while here on the podcast. We started watching the show Severance. Severance is a crazy mind bending show. Um, it's I hear I hear like it's my girlfriend who told me that it's kind of based on the Stanley Parable. I haven't really confirmed that, but I'm just going to assume from now on until season two is over and we see what happens. Now that's where we are on season two. We're fully caught up, and I gotta say, just go watch it. Get the free trial, pay the $7 or $10 or whatever that it is for the Apple subscription, and then you can just maybe watch it. 'Cause I think it's a pretty cool story. I'm excited to see where it goes. It seems like it's a show that's pretty competent with its storytelling so far, and it seems like it's pretty understanding that it's going to be a TV show for seasons. I don't know. It just feels like it knows when to really captivate you with its like endings and its storytelling. So it's really fun. And Yellow Jackets has also returned season three. Now, I didn't like the first two episodes. They kind of don't have that oomph, that kind of really like mystical pizzazz. Maybe it's just because we're kind of like on the the rising action kind of period of the show. Maybe it's probably the end, but I'm still excited to see where it goes. It's definitely a full, fun, exciting ride. I really won't say much on Yellow Jackets just because I don't think a whole lot happens in the first two episodes. This is not really my opinion. The status quo doesn't really specifically change. It's kind of really just like, all right, a little time has passed, so like, what's the kind of current status quo? What's everybody kind of doing now that some time has passed? Which is not awful, but it definitely doesn't feel like it has that same kind of tension as the earlier stuff. And what else? White Lotus season three comes back, and that's pretty exciting. Now, this is one of the shows that like every season's different, so I can't really say much about it until I see it. But I really love White Lotus. First season was really awesome, and I'm drawing a blank on what the second one is. I'm just it's just how it goes. We're almost at the end here, right? 40 minutes, so I think that's pretty much it. So hopefully we're done with Metal Gear Solid. Or Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake by the time that next episode rolls around, and we're getting into the Solid franchise. That's what I'm more looking forward to playing. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. So all of you stay safe out there, and hopefully we have a new, better mic situation next episode. So yeah, you guys stay safe. Peace.